I joke with you, like, how much of the Bitcoin do you want? Oh, I want it all. Well, I'm not going to get it all. I mean, if I work my entire life, I might work my way up to 1% or 1.5% or something if I get very lucky and I'm very diligent and the wind blows in the right direction. But if I do, and if I end up buying $100 billion of this stuff, then there'll be something like $99.9 trillion of Bitcoin for everybody else, you see. some crazy thing, right? You're just going to drive up the value of it in an insane amount.
Michael Saylor, in sharing his perspectives on Bitcoin's price action and market dynamics, sheds light on the factors driving his bullish stance for 2023. His optimism is firmly anchored in two pivotal elements: the upcoming Bitcoin halving event scheduled for April, and the imminent approval of a Bitcoin spot ETF by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Currently, the SEC is actively evaluating multiple applications for this ETF, with the notable influence of BlackRock heightening expectations for its approval. This development, eagerly anticipated for well over a decade, carries historical significance for the Bitcoin community. The potential approval of a Bitcoin spot ETF holds profound implications for the cryptocurrency landscape. It is seen as a gateway to substantial institutional investments, drawing interest from sovereign wealth funds, major corporations, and even governments. Saylor envisions this milestone as paving the way for large corporations to integrate cryptocurrencies into their balance sheets, signaling a transformative shift in the financial landscape. As we delve into Saylor's latest interview, the narrative unfolds on how Bitcoin is poised to revolutionize 2023, setting the stage for imminent transformations in the crypto market.
So that's worth doing, but it's ultimately an egalitarian thing. Bitcoin is an egalitarian energy network. It's not complicated strategy, John. It's like make Bitcoin successful, provide free education to the world. And I come back to the laser focus. I think most people fail because they have 6 good ideas and they think that they can pursue all 6, and you can't pursue all 6. Right? Oftentimes, maybe you can do 1 or 2. Or, I mean, like when you get past the fingers on one hand, you're delusive. And every other battle you choose to fight and the like, it just slows you down. And by the time you get reasonably diluted, you're 1% as effective or 0.1% as effective. So I really think you got to focus.
Yeah.
People declare victory too soon. They think, oh, I did this, so I'm done. Well, no, you're not done. You've accomplished 1% of what you think you need to accomplish when you're done. You've got 100x more to do, right? People just declare victory. They're overconfident, and they underestimate the amount of energy it's going to take to do even one thing well. And they think because they can do 10 things decently, they should. But the Stoic philosophy here holds, and it's just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do the thing. And the true mark of maturity is you could do 100 things. You choose to do one thing. And perhaps one thing at the family level, you have a family life, and then one thing at the professional level. I think you can have like a professional, a vocation, an avocation, and maybe you can have a friends and family thing. But you really need to focus upon that, right? Because as soon as you start thinking that you're that gifted human being that can somehow juggle 3 things or 5 things, Julius Caesar was gifted. I think they said he could like dictate in 7 different languages simultaneously. He still got his ass handed to him in Egypt. And Napoleon was thought to be quite the genius too, and he whiffed twice. The world's full of people that were geniuses and they were hyper successful and they implode spectacularly, generally because they get to this point of success and then someone strokes their ego and they decide they're going to have to go fix 4 more things. It's the best reason to try to accumulate energy so that you can actually make the world a better place.
Yeah. Amen.
I think there's this acid test inversion, which is you cross the chasm when you start thinking in terms of, I'm going to convert my analog energy or my physical energy into digital energy, and I'm going to store it forever. And then I'm going to fund my expenses and fund my charitable interest with the yield on the energy. The gold people never figured it out. With gold, they somehow have to mine the gold, convert it into dollars, and then they don't hold the gold. So their balance sheet is continually collapsing. So a conventional business, it has a balance sheet of cash and credit, and it's collapsing. A conventional family is collapsing. When you flip to a digital balance sheet, then your balance sheet starts accreting, like the MicroStrategy balance sheet. It was 500 million or 250 million, then 500 million, then $1 billion, then 2 million, then 4 billion, now 7 billion, right? When you flip to a balance sheet that is accreting, then you realize that you organize your life so that everything else can be done even off of the interest or the yield on the balance sheet. So if you figure that out, I mean, to do it well, you either have to have a job where you generate income, so you're just generating income in fiat and you stack, and your stack just accumulates, or you have to establish a relationship with a banker that will give you a loan against the Bitcoin and fund in the fiat. But once you've crossed that chasm, it's a very bright line, right? You've flipped from a position where my balance sheet is primarily invested in assets that are deteriorating at a faster rate than the money supply is expanding, or they're growing at a slower rate than the money supply is expanding. You've either got that situation, or you flip to the other situation where my balance sheet is accreting at a faster rate than the supply of money is expanding. And when you hit that inflection point, you see that when you're before that inflection point, if I give you any amount of money and it's not growing faster than the money supply, you can draw a line and you have a terminal point on the line where you run out of money.
The increasing acceptance of Bitcoin within governments, institutions, and the media signifies a broader acknowledgement of its value. However, according to Saylor, this journey is merely in its initial stages. He draws a comparison between the early years and the current era marked by widespread interest and substantial investments, emphasizing the current spotlight on Bitcoin ETFs as a pivotal development in the financial landscape. Saylor accentuates the significance of this moment, indicating a transformative phase for Bitcoin. In particular, Saylor points to BlackRock, guided by Larry Fink, as a driving force that will lead the charge in securing regulatory approval for a Bitcoin ETF. He contends that this strategic move will not only underscore Bitcoin's enduring relevance as an asset but also highlight its potential as a hedge against currency devaluation. The focus on regulatory approval and the role of influential entities like BlackRock signals a maturation phase for Bitcoin, positioning it as a resilient and valuable asset in the evolving financial ecosystem.
If you're living in fear and you're saving in dollars, you've got a life expectancy of 4 years or 2 years or 14 years, right? When are you going to run out? And when you flip it, your life expectancy is infinite. Or your energy expectancy is like now the energy is going to outlast my organic frame. In fact, my money will live beyond me. And now you're like, and John, maybe this is an interesting place where you get to religion and morality, because if your money's going to outlive you, you start thinking about children. Right? You start thinking about, I got to be married, I should have children. I start thinking about my children. And then you start thinking, I better make sure that my kids aren't spoiled. I better make sure they're well educated. I better protect them, because I don't want a spoiled kid with a lot of money, that's going to squander it. And then you start thinking, oh, that park in my neighborhood, I think I'm going to endow that and I'm going to keep that park. And then I start thinking, well, I got to fix my country because my kids are going to live in it. And so when you feel like your energy will go on, your time horizon goes beyond this horizon, and then, it's probably good that you're going to die, because if you know you're going to die, you think, well, I better actually put my energy into institutions and my family or people around me so that they'll live on and they'll express my values and maybe they'll remember me, right? And what I did for them. If I told you I'm going to give you Bitcoin and you can live forever, you might almost become too inwardly focused that only thinks of themselves, and you just generally go insane. So I don't know about that one. I'm not sure. I'm not ready to grapple with that. That's a philosophical, metaphysical thing. And
Something like
you
that.
know where this is expressed in the last 1,000 years? It was in the writing of a book. So if you lived 500 years, if you're Charles Dickens, or if you're any of the great writers, they would sit down and they have something to say. They write a book, Voltaire, and they gave it to the world. And you get the poignant sense that, right, they were writing to future generations, and then you're leaping across the years, to get their wisdom. So it used to be the way that you could immortalize yourself, your ego, your sentiment, your life experiences was to write the book, right? Even Caesar wrote the book, right? Mm-hmm. They wanted to leave that. Well, so now with Bitcoin, you can leave the book, but you can also leave more than the book. I mean, you're going to leave these podcasts. So, I mean, maybe 10,000 years from now, people are going to look at John Vallis and try to figure out what was going on into the Bitcoin era, right? And they'll be looking at you. And so say hi to people 10,000 years from now, John. We miss you guys. Don't screw it up, and it boils down to just this last phrase, right? Bitcoin is hope, right? Bitcoin is hope. Now you have hope. You can see beyond the horizon. And now that you have hope, you got to figure out what you're going to do with your life and what you're going to do with your life energy, because someone gave you back the option. And before Bitcoin, we took it away from you.
Saylor questions the validity of traditional macroeconomic measures, contending that these metrics, such as labor statistics and inflation figures, are often manipulated to convey specific narratives. Rather than reflecting the true state of the economy, they are selectively measured to produce desired effects. In this context, Bitcoin emerges as an alternative, detached from the manipulations of conventional economic metrics. Saylor also emphasizes that established corporations like Apple, Amazon, and Google are poised to swiftly acquire substantial amounts of Bitcoin through a spot ETF, leveraging their long-standing relationships to bypass the cumbersome processes involved in procuring the actual commodity. This disparity underscores the transformative power of cryptocurrencies in traditional financial institutions. Michael Saylor emphasizes the importance of embracing digital currencies as the economic landscape undergoes rapid changes. He urges investors to leverage Bitcoin's potential to secure a more prosperous financial future. The discussion prompts reflection on the latest interview with Michael Saylor and invites opinions on Bitcoin's trajectory in the coming months, considering its potential impact on the crypto market and the world of investing. Share your thoughts in the comments below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.